So we did it, 10,000 YouTube subscribers. I cannot believe it. If you have been along for the ride, thank you so much for being here as we kind of really push into YouTube this year. I just find it wild that in a few months, March, April, May, June, July, in 4 or 5, 6 months, we've been able to grow it to something that's 10,000 people already. And like sometimes 10,000 people are like, oh, some people have 1 million people, like whatever. Imagine 10,000 people in a room watching me. That is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that we've been able to do that on YouTube in such a small amount of time is just mind-boggling. And so if you've been here for the journey, just thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for subscribing. Or if you're new, hi, thank you for being here too. I really appreciate you. I'm just going to catch my breath. So I've already done a video and a podcast episode on how I grew my YouTube so quickly. So you're welcome to go have a look at that. I'll pop the link in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast, or a little button on the screen now if you're watching on YouTube. But I wanted to do this episode a little bit differently and share with you some more content tips that help me to grow my YouTube. I also think that what I'm sharing today is going to be useful for no matter what platform you're on, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. I think there's a few different nuances that you can obviously tweak per platform, but in essence, what I'm sharing here is going to be useful no matter where you are. So I hope you find it helpful. And obviously, as we know, if you watch my first YouTube video on how I kind of grew my YouTube channel, you'll know that I am no expert. I've never really looked into growing on YouTube and how to use it. I've just been a random person that sometimes watches it, and that's it. But I knew that it would be useful for my medium of graphic design and teaching people. So I was like, let's just try this and let's push into it. And it's worked for me. And I wanted to show you a little bit of why. The first tip is I don't want to pretend that I am some amazing expert. I do think a lot of this was beginner's luck. It was actually, and I think this is actually a tip. It's not just, oh, good luck. It's when we go to somewhere new that we haven't really experienced before, there is an element of we don't know all the rules. I don't know what I am and aren't meant to be doing. I have some rough ideas, but I'm like, there's just this beginner's luck of it, of like, I'm not bound by all the rules yet. And this can be really helpful sometimes. So say, for example, for me, Instagram is my jam. Like I know all the rules there. I know when I'm meant to post. I know how much I'm meant to post. I know what content I'm meant to create. I know everything about it because I've been there and creating there for so long. But YouTube, I didn't really know. All I knew was just some people post like once a month. Some people post like never. Some people post like twice a week, 3 times a week, every single day. And I was like, oh, there's so many different options. And I don't really know what kind of content I want to share or how I want to do it. But all I know is that I have a podcast that I want to make visual and I want to share some Canva tutorials. And that was kind of what I went in with. And so I guess I want to share is that if you're feeling like totally lost when you're coming to a new platform, whether it's YouTube or whether you're starting an Instagram or whether you're starting something different, Facebook, LinkedIn, I'd have the same problem if I did LinkedIn. I've got no idea about LinkedIn. Then don't feel like just because you don't know as much that you're going to automatically fail. I think there's an element of beginner's luck that we actually we can look at things from a different perspective than the people that have been there the whole time or the people that know it really, really deeply. And yes, they're going to know a heap of amazing things to do, but there's also a side of a naivety of, what if I try this? And someone who's been in there for a long time might be like, no, that's not worth trying, or I didn't even think of that, like whatever, because they've already got the rules and how things should work in their head. But when we try something new for the first time, we're able to think a bit more differently and come from a different angle than someone else. So don't negate this beginner's luck, this naivety, this, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to try things. And that can be okay too. All right, so that's my first bonus tip. Starting off with a bonus tip, I know is a bit weird, but I wanted to kind of nuance it with that first, letting you know that I'm not like a pro on all this stuff, but I'm just going to share some things that I found that worked on this platform and I think will work on other platforms too. So the first thing is to choose content that people are searching or that people are wanting. I knew, for example, that branding and graphic design and how to actually think about being a designer. Like one of the things I love to teach is like how you can actually like strategically use design to like capture your audience's attention, or how you can use like hierarchy in your layout to help people to read your post, like really great things, but no one's searching that. No one's searching, how can I use hierarchy in my designs to create a post? Like people don't care about that. They care about standing out. And for me in my niche, they cared about Canva. And so I pushed more into that. I used my podcast as my educational material, but every Friday I'd been posting a Canva tutorial because I knew that's what was going to get people in. I knew that I'm going to keep posting this educational content on the side because I believe that that's the most important part. You can know Canva as much as you want, but unless you know actually how to do the design stuff, it's going to be pointless. But I had to get people in first to want to then consume that content. So the way that I did that was to use an idea or something that I knew people were searching, people were interested in. Canva has become a world-renowned program that people are wanting to use all over the place. So I didn't need to advertise Canva per se, but I had to like jump on Canva's bandwagon per se and say, oh, I'm going to jump on this. And I know that people are searching for this. I know that people are wanting this. So how can I create that? So like even on YouTube, if you just like start typing into the search bar, like graphic design or Canva or something, you can kind of begin to see what people are searching for and learning around those things. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know all the different ways you can find out what people are searching online. There are other people that know that way more than me. So I'm not going to, like I started researching. I was like, I don't know this stuff. I'm not going to pretend that I know this stuff. So feel free to find someone else's research if you're wanting to actually dig into what people are searching. But I think part of us actually just knows this. What are people caring about? And phrasing our content in a way that serves the audience of like not the why hierarchy is a great way to design your graphics. No one cares about that, but they might care about that. Get your graphics read. Use the principle of hierarchy, or it's not even a great example, but you kind of get my idea of how can we twist what we're sharing in a way that's going to help people to either be searching for it and using phrases that they're going to likely be searching or caring about, or showing them the exact benefit of why they should care about what we're saying. You know, like being really intentional about the kind of content that we're sharing and not the spin we're putting on it, because it's not a spin, like hierarchy will help your content to get read, but kind of putting it in a way that sounds interesting, where we're phrasing it in a way that's going to draw people in. And so as you're thinking about your content, as you're thinking about the way you're going to phrase your content, try to do a mix of what people are wanting and then give them what they need, you know? Find what they want and then give them what they need. And so if you're a photographer and you want to help people to take better photos, find like that they might be searching what settings to use on their camera, but you're actually going to teach them how to use composition, but they might not realize that they need to learn composition. So they kind of just find what people are wanting and then give them what they need, and make sure you're using the right phrases in your videos, in the titles, in the thumbnails, in the keywords to help all of that be found. And it's the same with Instagram. Like if I do a random post on how great hierarchy is, no one really cares about it. But if I do a great post on how to help your designs get read, people care about it. And so phrasing all of what you're doing in the way that how can I make people, or how can I encourage people to care about what I'm saying, because I'm showing them what the benefit is for them. Amazing. That's point number 1. The second point is not rocket science, but it's make it entertaining. Like I'm not I'm sitting here. I'm not sitting here going like this. The next way to create your design is to go to Canva and click 1, then go to the tab menu and click 0. Like I'm doing stuff in a way that's more entertaining. I'm using my voice. I'm using my hands. I'm interacting with you as my viewer. I'm wanting to help you kind of want to consume my content. And everyone's going to be different on this. Like I quite naturally can talk quite interestingly, but it wasn't something that I always had. Like I've learned to speak with my hands. I've learned to use like intonation in my voice, and not everyone likes it. Some people think I talk too fast. Some people think I don't leave enough pauses in certain places in my sentences. There's all these different things that can happen. So how can you make it entertaining enough so that people actually want to consume your videos? You can do this, or even like any content. Again, this is still relevant for like your designs on Instagram. You want to make sure they're entertaining and interesting to look at, or at least really branded. Or this could be the same if you're doing Instagram stories or Instagram lives or Instagram reels. Make it entertaining. People love to be entertained. And so you don't need to do this by pretending to be someone else or by putting on a vibe that's not you at all, but kind of, can you emphasize the fun side of you, not hiding your personality, being able to say like, actually, I do like this random quirky thing over here and mentioning that in your content, or I do like talking with my hands, or I do like wearing purple, or like bring in parts of yourself and connect with your audience. Make it interesting. Help them to see your personality, and don't be afraid to bring some of yourself into those things. And so yeah, think of those things. Another part of it, just a really practical part, is just editing things well. My videos could be like, then they could be like super interesting, but they're interesting enough in terms of like, got some zoom ins every now and then. We've got like different titles that pop up on the screen. We've got little arrows that pop up every now and then. And there's just a few little things that we do to try to keep you engaged, keep you entertained, keep you wanting to watch the video rather than feeling like it's a really mundane and boring place to be. And so I think for your content, how can you make things more either unique to you and bring your personality in? How can you speak or converse or use your hands in a way that is more engaging and is not going to just bore people? Not saying that you're boring, you're probably not. In fact, you're definitely not. But how can you like bring that into your content, bring that into your videos, bring that into your Instagram posts? I think sometimes, and even I find this with myself in new business ventures that I go to, sometimes we get really like, we overthink oh, I need to be like super professional or no one's going to want to interact with me. But I found more and more, the more I lean into who I am and the way that I like to talk and the way that I like to do things, is people actually are drawn to that. They find it refreshing from the whole like corporate professional vibe that we're so used to in the business world, for example. And so don't be afraid to show yourself in there. All right, so that's point number 2, is be entertaining, make it entertaining. Try to bring in different elements that keep it engaging for people. And point number 3 is give great content. Again, it's not rocket science, but how can you share things that are actually going to help people? How can you share things that are actually going to meet people where they're at? I get so nervous sometimes. I'm like, oh, is this what I'm sharing good enough, or is it helping people? But then I keep on getting comments, or I keep on getting people that join my programs and then say, oh, Jackie, I've done this and this and this from watching your YouTube videos. And I look at what they've made and I'm like, you did that just from watching my free stuff? Like, and then I'm just shocked at what they're going to do with my paid content. And it's just so incredible that we can educate people, that we can help people, that we can expand people's minds just from what we share. And this, again, can be done on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever your platform is or whatever you're trying to get into. How you can share stuff that's actually going to be helpful, that's actually going to be useful, that actually helps people to learn. Because when they start to learn from you, they're going to learn to trust you. And when they learn to trust you, they're more likely to interact, they're more likely to comment on your videos, which helps things. They're more likely to subscribe or to like things. And they're more likely to keep on watching your stuff and keep on getting helped. And so you know what you want to share. You know your stuff. Like if you're an expert in your field, or even just someone who's passionate in a certain area, you know your stuff. Don't be afraid to share it. And the people that are wanting that information are going to be drawn to that, especially if you're doing it in a way like we talked about in point number 1, where you're choosing phrases that people are searching, or choosing keywords, or you're choosing content that people are actually interested in learning, and then giving them the stuff that they might not realize that they need after that. And so be thinking too, when you're doing this, of who's my target audience? Who do I really want to help with what I'm sharing? And make sure you're really serving them. Like, I don't usually work with people who are like totally beginning phases of business, in terms of like they have no idea what Canva even is. I'm usually hitting the sweet spot of, I know what Canva is, but I really want to dig into it and actually do it really well for my business. Those are my peeps. And so I really speak, and my messaging is towards that. And obviously I'll get outliers, and they're so welcome. Hi, if you're one of them. But that's kind of where my sweet spot is. And so trying to get to know your audience, because then you can speak more clearly to that. You can show people exactly what you know, and you can help them at where they're at. So don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to do your content in a way that's like you. Like, I don't teach like other Canva teachers teach. I really focus on the strategy as well as the Canva hacks. And so work out what your unique spin is and lean into that. And so I hope you found those 3 hacks a little bit helpful. Then again, they're not rocket science, but if we kind of start doing these things, that's some of the things that I believe has helped me on my journey to growing that 10,000 subscribers. And again, if you're one of them, thank you so much. Or if you're just coming along from the ride now, you are so welcome. And I'm so thrilled to have you here. And obviously, if you're listening on the podcast, I'm so happy to have you here too. You're welcome to head over to the YouTube video if you would like to see some more practical tutorials on Canva too. So hope you found that helpful. Remembering, this is a little bit of a summary. Choose content that people are searching. Don't forget to make it entertaining, and make sure you're actually sharing great content that's helpful, content that your target audience is going to really like, and content that actually brings your unique spin on something. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this journey. I really appreciate you. And if you haven't yet already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you along for the journey. And I would love to know in the comments as well, if you're watching on YouTube, what is something that you found really helpful from this episode, or what is something that you'd love me to share on? I have 2 videos coming out every single week, and sometimes I start to run out of things I want to share. So if you've got some ideas, just let me know in the comments. Or if you're listening on the podcast, head over to my Instagram and send me a message on the things that you would like me to teach on. I would love to help you there. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.